The artifact for Standard 3.2 shows how I promote student behaviors that encourage curiosity as they critically identify or examine online resources. For this artifact, I created a lesson to help students evaluate online resources. We talked about things like author credentials and if the publisher is reputable. We also looked at biases, accuracy, and relevance of information online. We discussed the biases on the British Petroleum website and why it's important to double check facts from different sources. In smaller groups, we checked out the EPA and WHO websites to tell the difference between research and corporate influences. I added a fun activity and a grading rubric to the lesson plan. Overall, I taught students how to think critically and made the lesson more engaging for them. Firstly, I provided learners with guidelines to evaluate online resources critically. I incorporated guiding questions that prompted them to consider factors like author credentials, expertise, and publisher reputation. We also watched a video on the strategy of lateral reading as a supplemental way to describe the strategy that we will be using to evaluate online resources. Secondly, I guided my learners through the process of evaluating online information for biases, information accuracy, and relevancy. For instance, I discussed the potential bias of the British Petroleum website and emphasized the importance of verifying information from other sources. I also organized the students into groups to evaluate the EPA and WHO websites with the goal of distinguishing between peer reviewed research and corporate agendas. I customized and adapted a pre existing lesson plan to meet my students' needs. One of my adaptations was that I introduced a collaborative Jamboard activity and an evaluation rubric to assess credibility, enhancing the learning experience. Using the Jamboard activity, the students completed their small group evaluations of the EPA and WHO websites. Afterwards, I led the class in a discussion of the similarities and differences between these three websites and how they rank in terms of their overall credibility based on their rubric scores. In my ongoing plan, I will teach multiple lessons to promote the use of valid and reliable sources among my students. After the initial lesson on evaluating sources using lateral reading, I will continue with three additional lessons focusing on different source types, such as Wikipedia, news stories, and fact checking organizations. The continued plans also indicate how I will establish a learning culture that promotes curiosity and critical examination of online resources and fosters digital literacy and media fluency.